All right, it's time to tip things off here on Bench Points. If this is your first time here, welcome. If this is your first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, hopefully you've seen all of our episodes. Welcome back. Welcome back. We really appreciate you guys. We just hit a video with 3,000 views, and I know just anybody can just grab a podcast mic and have a podcast, but we're really thankful for those 3,000 views. And keep talking to us. We love hearing from you. There are no safe takes, but no takes are safe. So please share those with us, and we love to engage with you. So we really do appreciate that, and looking forward to hearing from more of you. Wow, what a weekend, right? Some great basketball that was played this weekend, and the first one is that we would like to talk about is the Purdue-Wisconsin game. Number 5, Purdue 89 at Wisconsin, where they scored 73 points, and Wisconsin is bad, folks. This may be one of the last few times that we get to talk about Wisconsin. They might be the punching bag of the Big Ten. We'll see.
Like when me and Sam were out here, when Brad was enjoying the Pacers getting their butts stomped in by the Spurs, we talked about this, and Sam was worried about going to Madison and coming out. I mean, Purdue should have won this by 20 plus. They were in complete control of this. There was no reason for this game to be as close as it is right now. And what was it, 13-14? So I feel like that's got to make you feel really good as a Purdue fan going into Madison, coming out with covering by more than double.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I was worried that we would lose. I was worried
that's
that
not what I meant.
Yeah, I was more worried about a struggle in the Kohl Center, just because historically we don't play particularly well there. I know they talk about the gym being cold and the rims being tight and things like that. I think Braden Smith mentioned that on Running Point the other day. I will say this for Wisconsin. I don't think they're going to be the punching bag of the Big Ten. I think that title might belong to Penn State and Minnesota this year, and possibly Rutgers. And from the looks of it, after a 10-point loss to Indiana, Washington, which is shocking to me. But I will say Wisconsin played what I would consider like brilliant basketball for the first 20 minutes of that game and went into halftime down 7. And that felt like a massive win for Wisconsin. But like Purdue, like it was like a very not worried 7-point lead going into half. And then came out in the second half, gave up the first couple baskets, but then just went on an absolute tear. Obviously stretching the lead out to 25. And what I will say I noticed about this Purdue team is it was locked in on getting Braden Smith the Big Ten assist record. And then once that was achieved, they played with their food for 8 minutes. Wisconsin cut it down to 11, and it was almost like, okay, time to turn it back on. And immediately was 19 again. And so like the crowd was starting to get into it and all that fun stuff. There was some chirping back and forth between the players and the fans and all that. But yeah, Purdue turned it on. They won this game by 16. Realistically, they should have won it by 25 or 30 based on the way that they were playing for a good stretch of that second half. But, this Purdue team, we talked about Wisconsin's bad. I don't think they're good. I think on paper, they're a lot better than what they've actually produced. Their product isn't very good right now, and I think this is really a reflection on Garb. But for this Purdue team, after the Iowa State game, they've won their games by an average of 26.6 points. They are quietly under the radar, reestablishing themselves as a tier 1 team and a national title contender. And this is exactly where Purdue wants to be. Mm-hmm. When Purdue's got a number 1 ranking, it's like just a curse. They play tight. I think they let it get to them a little bit. But when they're in that 4 to 6 range, where they've been hovering for the last month or so, they're brilliant. They play absolutely brilliant. And they have bad stretches, and you start to scratch your head as man, what's going on with this Purdue team? And then you take your eyes off the score for a second, you just watch the game and you look down and they're up 15, they're up 22, they're up 28. We said this in the Auburn game. Auburn didn't realize they were getting 30-pieced. It was just this death by 1,000 cuts, and it's coming from everybody. It's a balanced attack, like what we talked about preseason. You got 5 guys averaging double-digit points right now, and the point spread from your highest average to CJ Cox around 8 points a game. You're looking at 6 points. There's a 6-point difference between the first guy and the sixth guy, and that's incredible balance. And that's what you need to win in March. That's what you need to advance high into the tournament. You need your scoring coming from a lot of different places. And right now it's coming from Braden Smith. It's coming from Fletcher Lawyer, TKR, Clough, Harris, Cox, Venters coming into the fray. Jacobson's getting some buckets. I am really liking what I see out of this Purdue basketball team, and I think they're starting to live up to the preseason hype, but they're in that perfect, they're like right in the slot, right in that like 4 to 5 range where nobody is really like talking about them because Michigan's been incredible. Arizona's been incredible. UConn's playing great. Iowa State's playing great. And this is exactly where we want to be.
Like, to me, the last thing I want to say on it, two last points. One, how does it feel to be happy with your team? Because I don't know what that feels like. Two, like, this is why you went out and got Clough to me. TKR, this is one of his more underwhelming performances. 5 rebounds, 11 points. Like, it was kind of very inefficient 11 too. But Clough gets 12 and 11, a couple of assists still. Was just raking in. Wisconsin couldn't deal with him, and the same thing with Jacobson. Like, between those guys, you had 14 rebounds and 19 points. That's a great 4-man in your 5-man rotation. Like, that's why he went out and got Clough. And if Cox and Harris keep shooting around 40% from 3, which both of them were, there is maybe 2 teams out there that can do anything about this Purdue team on offense. Like, there's 2 teams that can maybe bother them, and named Michigan and Arizona. The rest of the league doesn't stand a chance the way this offense is flowing right now.
And back to that Clough steal, it took 2 to 3 business days for that to manifest. I think Brad put it best. He was like, "Am I watching this game in slow motion?"
Yeah.
But yeah, if you go back and you watch that Iowa State game, I mean, like I said, if they shot 40% in that first half, they weren't going in the half down, 4 to 6. They were going up in that half 12 to 14 up. And that completely changes the outlook for the second half. I think they needed that Iowa State game. I think that absolutely had to happen for them to develop the way that they have over the course of the last 5 games. Now they got Washington on Wednesday, and that feels like at home, that feels like a bye game, but they cannot be looking forward because they got some big games coming up on their schedule. I think they've got Iowa at home on Saturday, so it's another big one.
Another thing too, and Sam, just to add on to what you said, that for a team to have nearly 3 players that are almost averaging a double-double. I mean, not only do you have 4 in double digits, but 3 they're almost averaging double-double.
Yeah.
Which is that's special.
Yeah. And like I think I said it at the very beginning of this year. I don't think we're going to have All-Americans. I don't think we're going to have National Player of the Year candidates, obviously outside of Braden Smith. But like TKR's production is down, but his rebounds are up. Like, he's not scoring nearly as many points, but he doesn't have to. He's getting offensive rebounds. And then between Clough and Jacobson, you've completely replaced Zach Edey. And what was like the missing piece last year? Rebounding and point production in the paint outside of TKR. You weren't getting it. Now you're getting, like, it's a pick your poison inside and just like, who's going to be the hot hand from the outside. It was good to see Fletcher Lawyer shoot 40% from 3 again, but his threes were extremely loud. The one he hit in the first half kind of put him back up, and then he hit 3 in the second half that were just daggers.
Once again, must be good to feel good about your team.
Well, as a Purdue fan, I'll never feel good or optimistic, but I'm happy with what I've watched over the course of the last 5 games.
Yeah. Hey, listen, this North Carolina SMU game, North Carolina won or lost. Right? Ooh, my bad. Sorry, professional here. Number 12, North Carolina, 83 at SMU, who had 97 points. 26 threes combined in this game. That is amazing.
I'm going to keep my part of this really short, and I'm going to apologize to SMU fans that might be watching this. I'm not sure how many of them exist, to be completely honest with you, but I was dead wrong. We were talking about the point spread in this game, and we're like, I don't understand why it's that close. And then SMU comes out and mollywops UNC and made Caleb Wilson look bad. I mean,
which is very good to do, in my opinion.
So what I'm going to do is to say, I was wrong. I've got a couple of these left for the rest of the evening, but I was wrong on this one. Jake, take it away.
Yeah, I was the same way. I knew SMU was decent. I didn't know they had this in their bag. They made North Carolina look very, very, they made North Carolina look like what I thought they would look like coming into the year, not what they've shown me so far. Very sloppy, a lot of turnovers, a lot of bad decision making. I mean, both teams were shooting well from deep. So that's why you saw the 56 threes being shot between the 2 teams. But SMU was shooting over 50%. Boopy Miller felt like he was unstoppable, and Corey Washington was killing it too. But there was no rim protection for North Carolina, and that part of that was due to Vassar being in foul trouble all night. But I mean, one block, that's it. Not a lot, and only 4 still. So it's not like you were pressuring the ball and creating turnovers, and that's why you weren't getting blocks. And it's not like there wasn't enough shots because of the Lord, there were still 40 plus shots taken inside the lane. SMU just did whatever they wanted when they wanted, shot 60% from the floor. Yeah, they were hot, but at the same time, it didn't. North Carolina wasn't in their way. It's not like they were a very difficult 60 shots for all of them. And I mean, Seth Trimble, broke his arm, came back, didn't miss a beat. The rest of that team, I don't know where they were on that road trip, but they were not in, I think, Dallas. That's where Dallas, wherever their SMU is, that they weren't there.
Yeah. At least the defense wasn't. I mean, 60% from the floor, 52% from 3. SMU basically had a day, and UNC paid for it.
I think this is for our next game here, Kentucky at Alabama. I think I wouldn't say this is a big win for Alabama, but it is for the sake of SEC teams. Alabama 89, Kentucky 74. This is kind of an astonishing stat. I had to kind of look and see if this was true, and it looks to be. But through 50 games, Pope has the same record as Billy Gillispie at Kentucky.
Well, we all remember that Billy Gillispie tenure at Kentucky was very successful for Kentucky.
That is not something you want tied to Mark Pope's name.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, Mark Pope has had a lot more expensive teams than what Gillispie was getting too. So
That's true.
I think it's like the Kentucky fans that are trying to pull the plug on that way too early. I still like Pope, but it is shocking that he can't get offense out of this team. Alabama's been weak inside all year, and you got out rebounded like crazy. I mean, Phylon didn't make a 3 and was it was a leading scorer because Aiden Holloway couldn't miss, but he was up there, and I mean, he went 0 for 6 from beyond the arc and still put up 17. Just, man, I'm at a loss for what Kentucky is doing. Can anybody explain to me why Quintonitz and Lowe aren't starting?
I am 100% sure we'll get blasted by some Kentucky fans for not knowing exactly why, but to me it doesn't make sense. And I think it adds to the lore that, get Pope out of there because he's not making great decisions. The roster's not built very well. There is a bad part of me as a Purdue fan that is just tickled pink about how poorly this Kentucky team is playing, given how hard they celebrated an exhibition win that they left the game 0-0. I mean, yeah, you won an exhibition game by 13, but your season didn't officially start, and we all knew that, and we all said it's not that serious. Like, I wouldn't put much stock in it. Well, this is why you don't put much stock in it, because Kentucky has not done anything even remotely impressive outside of a St. John's win that really doesn't look that great on a resume anymore.
It's not impressive at all anymore.
I think we might have to start talking about this Kentucky team not being a tournament team. And here's the thing. What have we said about this Alabama team over and over and over again? If they could only rebound, man, they would kill teams. Well, they out-rebounded Kentucky by 4. And in doing so, I think they had a lead. Let me see. Their largest lead was 21. The game ended at 15. It never felt that close. Alabama got what they wanted when they wanted. They were absolutely fantastic. They turned the ball over like 10 times for as athletic and as aggressive as this team is to only turn the ball over 10 times. Fantastic. And Nate Oates took a little jab at this Kentucky team. He basically said they don't know how to pass. It is a lot of ball over there. They're passing
9 total assists on that.
Yeah, it is. I will say this. It is absolutely bleak in Lexington right now. And you know what? As a Purdue fan, I think you peaked in October when it didn't matter. And now we're into 2026, and you guys have a lot of sorting out to do if you want to be dancing in March.
Yeah, I mean, you had 32 of their 59 shots come from 2 guys, Lowe and Owe. After that, nobody was of any value whatsoever, because I can't make an argument for somebody else to shoot. Aberdeen, 1 of 7. You got 5 of his 7 points came from the free throw line. Chandler wasn't, I don't know why you would let him shoot either. Marino wasn't doing well. Coincidence has never been an offensive threat. He's just a very physical, very good defensive player, and I think he'll have a very successful NBA career. Not college. He's not the kind of big guy you can throw it to. And Jasper Johnson, everybody, like, he was supposed to be all world, like their best recruit. He's getting 6 minutes and 0 points, and the only stat he has on the stat sheet is 1 turnover. That's it. The only reason we know he played is he turned the ball over 1 time. Other than that, he could have been just a ghost out there. It's just, I mean, Garrison is next to useless out there. I don't know. There's a lot. Pope has got a lot of work to do, and unfortunately, the break isn't coming because we're past the Christmas break where you had some time to readjust some stuff. You're in the heat of conference play. It does not lighten up for Kentucky. I'm very impressed with what Alabama did, even though, like, one, they did not have a great shooting night. I mean, it still shot close to 40% from deep, but I mean, that was because Kentucky was giving it to them, like letting them because God knows what that game plan was. But I mean, Sherrill wasn't playing well. Mari Allen stepped up. No, Bull. There's been a very good offensive threat for him. Mallet. Is it Mallet or Millet? But either way, he had a fantastic game. He needs a little more attention, but this looked like the Alabama team we thought we'd see at the beginning of the year. They were dominating. And, you know, since the football team was done, the gym was a little rowdier than when we were down there.
There were multiple times where I felt the game was a little too quiet, but yeah, it was a little more ruckus in there. And I think obviously Kentucky being a basketball rival and SEC play starting, it had the volume that it needed to have for that kind of a game and that kind of an opponent. I do want to briefly interrupt. Nebraska just put away Ohio State. The last second shot got missed. Nebraska is now 15-0 and 4-0 in conference play. Finally broke the top 10. This is a team that we all need to be keeping on our radar as well. Nebraska ball is real.
Hey, this is another reason to follow us. The TikTok, YouTube short, Instagram reel I put out today, I gave out Nebraska on the money line because for some reason Ohio State was favored by 2.5 points, and this was a plus 130. So, hey, that's a nice little bump to the pocket there.
Yeah. This game was absolutely fantastic. Ohio State kind of roared back, and there was probably a 10-minute stretch where I think Ohio State played harder than any team I've seen since the 90s.
They still have no bench.
And I will say Ohio State, an arena known to get really, really loud, was quiet as a church mouse, and I don't think that helped them.
I think, well, because Nebraska took all the air out of their sails for the first 25 minutes of that game.
Yeah, that was a nice game. Yeah, I kind of wish I'd taken advantage of the money side of things, but should have listened to Jake. But there was one other point I wanted to point out from over the weekend is Kansas 75, UCF 81. And a big first half for Peterson, and then no Peterson in the second half. I don't think the man wants to play for the Kansas Jayhawks. Jayhawks fans, I'm sorry, the dude doesn't love you, and he's ready for the league. I think he's ready to move on. I don't know. I almost feel like, I mean, he's too good to say, to bench him, but at the same time, this is kind of getting ridiculous.
So this reminds me the picture that's out there that's floating around with him sitting on the bench, and it's about like his chair's about 8 inches away from the next closest Kansas guy. It's not a good look. Whether that was because the trainer was working on him and it was just a great time picture, I don't know. Not throwing shade at him, but it's just not a great look. But when Kyrie was playing at Duke, he played the first 10 games or so. They looked amazing. Hurts' foot goes out, and then Duke, it takes a few games, they recover, and they look good. They get a 1 or a 2 seed that year. He comes back and plays in the tournament, and the chemistry was just weird and off. And it feels like Kansas can't get that glue together to figure out how their team needs to play because Peterson is constantly in and out, and so nobody really knows how to go. But the most shocking thing to me that was not really shocking because this is what I thought all year, but absolutely nothing inside the paint for Kansas. I mean, Bedinga and Tiller, the only thing they can really do is finish an alley-oop. Bedinga protects the rim well, but if he's next to useless on the offensive court unless you're lobbing it to him. So that's just clogging up your lane for a guy like Melvin Kensel Jr. who's lightning quick. And so it's just, I don't know. I don't think Self has got the talent. I think I'm shocked that they're still ranked after this because they did not look good. And it's not like UCF was of anything great coming into this. So they got another week being up there. But I think the Big 12 is going to roast them. And they're going to quickly. This might be another team that misses the tournament or gets a double-digit seed that Kansas is out in the first weekend again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm not. I'll just said it before. I'll say it again. I'm not a Kansas basketball lover. Respect them 100%. But Peterson had 23 minutes, scored 26 points, looked absolutely fantastic. And I'm sitting here scratching my head thinking, if you're going to use them, use them. If you're not, don't. Because you're messing with the chemistry of this team. You brought him in, he played fantastic. You take him out, and the team kind of falls apart, and they lose their identity. So you have to figure out your life without your superstar freshman, who is going to go to the league. You probably need to shut him down, and you guys need to figure out how to play without him.
This is the microcosm of the
love for Kansas to continue to poison themselves, because I think it's better for basketball if they're not good. But to the Kansas fans out there, I think what the team needs to do is come to the reality that Peterson is not an option unless you can get 30 to 35 minutes out of that dude. I think it's time to like move on. Now, if next week he's magically healed and you can get 35 minutes at him, Kansas is incredibly dangerous because Darren Peterson is one of the best players in college basketball right now. He is in the top 5 of one of the best freshman classes that we have ever seen. But like that cannot be your lifeblood. You guys got to figure it out. And you could say that about any team with any of their superstars, but Kansas is one without Peterson, and they've formed an identity without Peterson. And they need to go back to that because against UCF, their identity the first half was Peterson. And then it kind of disappeared, and UCF took full advantage.
I don't know. This is a microcosm of what NIL has done because, like, then you start worrying about his motivations, like, because the NIL deals aren't, to my knowledge, aren't public. Like, how much of the money does he have to give back, or does he not get if he doesn't play? So, like, is he forcing himself out there a little bit, like forcing his way in to play, or like, I don't know, but it's. Like if from a pure basketball standpoint in a vacuum, figure out, I don't know that they have a good replacement for him. Obviously you're not getting the same value, but like a guy that you can fit in that fills the role to win in the Big 12. I don't know that exists. Cause I mean, if you look at their bench, it's not like there's anything fantastic there. So Bill Self's got his work cut out for him. And I don't know that he has it in the tank anymore. I think the medical issues have happened and the games have passed caught up to him a little bit. Without a stud like Peterson, this Kansas team becomes very, very mediocre.
Yeah, and I think I was just thinking, I almost feel bad for saying or thinking that way about Peterson, but at the same time, I can't help but think that, like, when you have Kim Boozer out there who is giving it everything he's got, like, I mean, he's laying it all out there, and then you've got Peterson who, if he has a hangnail, he's out for 3 games. I'm not saying a hamstring's a hangnail. I don't want to get, taken to the gallows, but still, I do feel like that he could use some resilience here.
Right.
If you really want to compete.
The difference between the two guys is look at the connection that Boozer has to Duke. Like his dad played there, his dad won there. He's probably been raised, born and bred in that Duke brotherhood. He probably, he's got some love for where he's at. To me, and Peterson, not a knock on the guy, probably just went to where the best NIL deal was to get him one year, and so he could go to the league and start working on his second NBA contract once he's done with the rookie deal. Like that's the only motivation he has. And I mean, that's been an issue before the NIL. That was the one and done thing forever, is getting these guys connected to the school. You can't in 1 year because they're focused on what's next for them. And that's not a knock on them. That's what it is.
Or go to the school with the trainers you have the best relationship with. This is what
Yeah. And Kansas is a great place for NBA scouts to go because they know coaches like Self and they know coaches like Calipari and guys like that. They find NBA talent. They recruit NBA talent. So there's a lot of exposure there. And that's, of course, Peterson went there, but I don't think he cares about the traditions of Kansas. And I'm not 100% sure if he cares about winning at Kansas. I think he should right now. And rightfully so, he wants to stay just healthy enough to impress NBA scouts and get himself high draft stock, which he will. He'll be a top 5 pick. But I just go back to my previous point. I think Kansas found some rhythm without him, and I think they might need to go back to that well.
Yeah, I agree.
Are there any other games from the weekend that, I mean, there's quite a few. This could be a 2-hour episode easy.
Yeah. I do want to quickly talk about Nebraska again. We've got to send them some love. Beating Michigan State is no joke. Now, Michigan State had 20 plus turnovers.
21.
You got to credit Nebraska for part of that, right? Like, I mean, it wasn't just the fact that Michigan State was bad that night. Like, I mean, there was a reason they were bad.
I would say there was a stretch. It was about a 4.5 minute stretch during that game where Michigan State had 5 unforced turnovers. They were like cutting to the basket, putting their foot out of bounds, cutting to the basket, bouncing the ball off their knee, bad pass. Dare I say, fears looked mortal. And Fears is one of my favorite point guards. I think we talked about Braden Smith's assist record, and we'll go more into that later. Just keep on your radar. If he plays for Michigan State for another couple of years, that record's going bye-bye because he is absolutely fantastic. But there was a lot of self-inflicted wounds on Michigan State's part, but Nebraska, they won tonight at Ohio State. This team is absolutely for real. Purdue goes there, I think, like late January, and I am not looking forward to that. The game is in Nebraska. I think Ken Pom has us at like a 3-point win. I trust that as much as I trust Carson getting to the potty on time without direction. So like it's Nebraska is the real deal, and I think we got it. I think it's time for us to give them the love that they deserve, and the country to start noticing, because 15-0 is no joke.
Yeah. The couple things I want to mention of the weekend. Does Louisville suck without Brown now? Is that
They
what
suck
we're
without
down
Brown.
to?
Yeah. Tennessee.
And he's out for the Duke game, so I don't know. And then speaking of Duke, they released a YouTube video showing how they coach defense, and now all of a sudden they can't play defense. I think that was probably the dumbest move I've ever seen a program make in a long time.
I miss this.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video out there showing how Duke does their defense, and now the last two games, Georgia Tech was on fire, finding all the open threes, and the same thing with Florida State. They're pulling the games out, they're winning, but maybe don't release the secrets middle of the year. I don't know. That's just the thing. And the Georgia Auburn game was a fantastic game, fun watch. What a miracle shot to get to overtime. Pettiford came off the bench. Is this new? Did I just miss that? Or was this the first game that happened? Because, whoa.
Internal problem. There's some sort of, I don't know about that. So that's weird to me.
And then Georgia did not deserve that win whatsoever. Auburn fumbled it to them. I'm not sure Georgia is as good as everything is saying they are, but Wilkinson, man, needs some love. That kid is on
Golly,
a different level right now and is carrying that Georgia team, and it's fantastic. And Georgia plays a lot of fun, a very fun version of basketball. So if you're just casual, especially with the SEC, and you see like a Georgia game and you got nothing else to do, watch that, because you will absolutely love what they do. They're going to be a blast in March Madness because they will be there because of the way they play in it. And because of the way they play, it'll also be a very close game every time. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this AP poll. Michigan closing the gap on Arizona. Slowly but surely, but maybe it should be closer. What do we think about that?
Arizona's still number one in the AP poll right now. Couple things on Arizona. They have won every game. They've dominated most teams. They have a win over current number 4 UConn asterisks. UConn was missing 2 starters, and they've got a monster win over Alabama. The rest of the resume is not looking as great as it did 30 days ago. And I think we started kind of talking about that earlier. The UCLA win doesn't look that great. The Auburn win doesn't look that great. The Florida win doesn't look that great now. And those are things that you definitely need to keep in mind. One other thing about Michigan is I'm a firm believer Michigan is one of the best teams that we have ever seen in our entire life. I think what they're doing is borderline historic. I think they have a real shot to go undefeated. A couple of the comments that we've received in some of our videos kind of mention some of their kryptonite. Like I think one person said if team figures out a way to slow the ball or slow the game down and like kind of get them into the half court, cough, cough, maybe like a team like Purdue, maybe like a team like Michigan State that can really, really slow the game down, that could give Michigan fits. But the other thing about that is it is okay to talk about how great Michigan is, but also talk about how they looked against TCU and Wake Forest. That doesn't mean individuals don't know what they're talking about when they bring that up. Obviously, Michigan was early in the season. Obviously, they were figuring things out, but they obviously looked mortal against
so was every other team was also figuring things out.
Right. There is nothing wrong with admitting that. But this Michigan team, sorry, did not mean to offend there. This Michigan team, first off, prayers up for Penn State. I feel bad for what's about to happen to them tomorrow because, I think we might have to call the police and get a crime scene investigator over to that game because it's going to be an absolute bloodbath.
Do you think they've already negotiated the second half to be 5 minutes shorter?
They might need to call it at the end of the first half. But yeah, this Michigan team is absolutely historic, and they, in my opinion, they are the number one team in the country based on what they're doing to top 25 teams. Arizona, all the respect in the world to you. Your resume just doesn't look good now as it did in late November, early December.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking 3 first place votes was the difference of the first place votes. Arizona got 32 to Michigan's 29, but 1 point different. Well, I haven't investigated all, but there's some AP poll voters down there that have Arizona 4th or 5th, which is kind of shocking to me.
Painful.
With where they're at, but I mean, 14 wins to 13 wins. I'm of the opinion you can't take the number one team, number one spot without the number one team losing, because once you've got there, you can sit there for a minute. But if those two teams are playing tomorrow in Ann Arbor or in wherever they are in Arizona, don't know whatever the test on, whatever, I'm taking Michigan in either spot. I think they are playing that much better than anybody right now, but they're the true number one team, but I like Arizona earned that one ranking early on. It's theirs, so they give it up. Like Michigan, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with them. Like this team is breaking metrics because like from the trapezoid of excellence and all that, like all those fun little things, like Michigan is so far and above and beyond everybody right now. It sucks because I don't want the college basketball season to be over. And
yeah, and that's, I think,
no, yeah, I don't want that to happen. Iowa State and UConn, like the top 6, there was no movement. I don't think there should have been any movement. I'm happy we got rid of the stupid people that were voting like UConn and Duke with one first place votes. That needed to stop a while ago.
Look, and again, all the credit in the world to Michigan and Arizona. I think 1A, 1B, however you want to put them, they're the best teams in the country right now. And it's January, so this isn't fluky. This is real deal stuff. And what Michigan is doing is like borderline murderous. What Arizona is doing is fantastic as well. The teams that, State, UConn, Purdue, BYU to an extent, Houston to an extent, Duke to an extent, they're flying right under that radar. I think that's the safest place to be right now, is in that radar, under that radar, and as being a Michigan fan, I think that's extremely safe. I think Arizona's I think we'll see a lot when they get into Big 12 play here, and then Michigan's first handful of Big 10 games are just going to be bloodbaths. Anxious to see what happens when they play Illinois, they play Michigan State, they play Purdue. I think those are the only 3 teams that have a real crack at them. The question that we need to start asking about Michigan, though, is like, if you're undefeated coming into conference tournament time, do you shut it down? Or do you go for the undefeated season? Me personally, I'm a big proponent of load management, so that's where I'm at. But this Michigan team has a legit shot to go undefeated this year.
Yeah, like that's hard because when you have a record like that, that's reachable. Do not go for it. Like to not go for it, to willingly not get it is hard. It's like we talked about like last year or maybe it was earlier this year. Tennessee going for a 1 seed matters because it's not happened before.
Mm-hmm.
So like you want that, but to like willingly choose to like sit out a conference tournament or take a conference tournament game and risk that, I don't think Tennessee should do until they've had the 1 seed. But back to the AP poll, there's 3 teams I'm looking at: Louisville, Tennessee, and Kansas. How are those teams still ranked right now? Like Louisville, you can make a little bit more of an argument for, I guess. But if you've got 4 losses at this point of the season, you shouldn't be ranked. Like there's too many teams out there that have got 1 or 2 losses that have decent enough non-conference schedules and early conference schedules wins to like push them up there in the lower part of the rankings. Tennessee and Kansas, especially 21 and 22, do not deserve to be there. I don't know why, especially Tennessee. Like I can understand Kansas a little bit because like that's a big money brand. Tennessee's not a big money brand when it comes to college basketball, so I don't understand how those two teams especially are still ranked. I got to be honest, because I said the same thing about Florida a while ago when they first got the 4 losses. There was no reason for them to be ranked.
Definitely not going to be now.
They're not. They're well down the list where they should be because they haven't earned it, and Tennessee hasn't earned it, and to me, Kansas hasn't earned it either.
But has Houston earned a spot to move up by beating Cincinnati in a fairly tight game or a fairly close game? I know I was thinking it's like Houston. I feel like is the worst top 10 team in the country. Like, I know that's like a dumb thing to say. So they should be ranked 11th. No, I mean they're just so unimpressive.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Sinak doesn't play offense apparently, which is shocking to me.
And just he's been a big disappointment as well. Wanted more from him for sure.
Jake, going back to your comment about ranking Tennessee, they still have a win over Houston.
Who we just like? That's it. That's it.
I know. Well, and Louisville, but Louisville's obviously having some struggles as well.
Which without Mikael Brown, like
right. But this Houston team's got one loss, and they've consistently been in the top 10 all year. So it is a top 10 win, and that is very, very important come, tournament selection time and come the committee that, puts these rankings together, these AP voters and whatnot. But then you look at the others receiving votes, and this is where you can kind of start justifying that, Kansas, Tennessee, Virginia, Louisville, they all have justification in being in there because UCF, I mean, they've got a big win, but they haven't been all that impressive this year. Utah State, I mean, they've looked good. Clemson, meh. Florida State, meh. St. Mary's, meh. Seton Hall, meh.
Give me Miami, Ohio. Give me them. Give me Villanova and Seton Hall. Like, yeah, I mean, I know, but like we're talking Tennessee, who just went to Arkansas and lost, and that was not great performance by Tennessee. They also lost to Kansas, who is ranked below them. It's nothing. The Tennessee team, it doesn't pass the eye test, doesn't pass the smell test right now. And the same thing with Kansas and like Louisville. While Brown's out, they are not a top 20 team. Losing to Stanford is not top 20 worthy. When Brown comes back, we can throw him back up there. But right now, that is not great because like Louisville's pinning their hopes on what like the Kentucky win, who like is trash really comparatively, and then Kansas is propping their thing up on the fact that Tennessee beat Houston. Like, how far away are we getting from actual Kansas basketball to keep them ranked? Like, I don't know. That's I don't think those three teams, and because I don't think Houston necessarily belongs in the top 10, because I think they're there by default because they started there. They started inside the top 5, and they haven't really had that many impressive wins. Like Auburn was a 1-point win that Auburn probably should have won. They're there because Michigan State lost to Nebraska, and they didn't want to put Nebraska up there, and Gonzaga had that crazy game with Seattle where with the overtime. I think if Michigan State doesn't win and Gonzaga blows Seattle out like they should have, they're probably sitting at 10, maybe 11. But who really knows? Because we'll find out here soon. Because I mean, Houston, I believe, has a big game coming up.
They play
the Texas Tech.
Yeah, and again
tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's going to be a fun game because I think it's really going to test the mettle of this Houston team. And we could talk about transitive properties and all that fun stuff, but it would be a good litmus test for this Texas Tech team that, they've got some pretty big losses to some of these top teams, but they also, edged one out against Duke. And I think beating Houston at Houston would be a huge statement for them. And then obviously, selfishly, as a Purdue fan, we 30-piece this Texas Tech team. So I would kind of like to see them squeak out a win. That way it makes our resume look a little bit better. And we can start talking about how great Purdue's resume is. But I think this is going to really test the mettle of this Houston team and kind of help identify who they are. We know who this Texas Tech team is. We know what their flaws are. We know where their weaknesses are. But this Houston team, I think there's still some big question marks.
But, I mean, from an AP voter standpoint, I'm not sure what to do. I wouldn't be sure what to do with Houston because the talent on the roster hasn't changed. And I would be very timid to put Vandy inside the top 10 as well because they haven't played anybody. But and BYU feels untrustworthy. I don't know. I wouldn't know what to do either, if I'm honest. So that's why I like to be able to sit here on the bench and criticize what I'm not actually doing.
It
makes me feel a lot better.
Also, 0 SEC teams in the top 10.
What a difference a year makes, right?
I know. That's such a weird. That's just kind of a weird, it's a weird truth, and it's unfortunate. For a lot of reasons, but I still think, do we want to say how many we think might get into the tournament at this point? And we talked about a couple of weeks ago, but
we kind of hit on that with like the conference is so big that the number's going to lie a little bit because we're looking at 20 teams. If 8 or 9 of them get in, it still looks pretty good because you're getting 8 or 9 teams in, but that's less than like it's. I don't know. The size of the conference is really obscure that how good the conference is a little bit.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I always like to look at is breakdown of your top 25 by conference. And I had this pulled up not too long ago, but I believe it was 7 from the Big 12, 6 from the Big 10, 5 from the SEC, and then just kind of a smattering after that. But my Big 12 is obviously the powerhouse conference this year. Some absolutely fantastic basketball. And then the Big Ten, I mean, right now we've got Michigan State, USC. It's been a fun game right now, but USC just fell out of the rankings. So we're going to have a revolving door in that last 5 spot that I think, between the Big 12 and the Big Ten, they're going to be competing for that overall number.
Yeah, it's going to be very West-ish year with Big 12 and Big 10 taking most of the spots. I mean, a lot of the Big 10's not in the West, but it's not an East Coast.
I mean, a stupid amount of it is. So speaking about West, I looked just a second ago, and because I don't have this game on, I've got a recording, and I do plan on watching it, but I'm just always like to just kind of tune back in. I do believe Rutgers is now tied.
In overtime.
4 seconds left with this Oregon team. This Oregon team has been an absolute monumental disappointment.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm going to wear
Rutgers
that one.
I got 20-piece at home by Purdue and has not looked particularly great anywhere else. Got 30-piece by Tennessee. Is tied with this Oregon team going into overtime now. So tune into Peacock.
Yeah. That's why you get the Peacock subscription.
I know.
Oregon Rutgers.
I don't know that maybe that's for a different podcast, but that's a topic that we've got to approach about. How, this is kind of
that's an
this is getting annoying.
But
all right, so let's take a quick deep dive. I know we mentioned this game earlier. Tennessee 75 losing to Arkansas at Arkansas 86. This may be the worst offensive team that Barnes has had.
There's no offense. Like, the offense is, hopefully we get a fast break and then Gillespie makes magic happen on the half court, because half the time, especially in crunch time, dude was just dribbling in circles hoping somebody would get open and nobody was moving. If Carey is not, for lack of a better term, carrying us down low on offense, and he couldn't stay on the floor because Arkansas was a bad matchup. There's nothing. And Amit's box score looks better than what it is, but his garbage time points shouldn't count, and almost half his points came from the free throw line. Like, this is the only guy that was worth any amount of money if we paid him was Evans. Outside of that, everybody else should be cutting their check right back to the university, because this was a pitiful performance offensively. I'm not impressed with Arkansas at all. This was 2 teams that were very, to me, and somebody had to win. Acuff, though, that dude, like, that's the difference in the 2 teams, is Arkansas has a killer they can give the ball to at the end of the game and when they need it. I mean, and Tennessee does not. Like it. And I mean, he had 29 points. I think he went nuts. Monster threes when this team needed it. I mean, the dude played himself till he was about half dead. They Frankensteined him alive on the sideline, and then he comes back in and just drains threes, and we couldn't stay in front of him. I mean, when me and Sam previewed this game, I was like, yeah, the only thing we have to do is not let Acuff go for 50. Well, he could have if he played all 40 minutes, because this was frustrating as a Tennessee fan, because I feel like Tennessee was the more talented team and just did not play like it. And I put my reaction out there on TikTok, and Tennessee fans are coming for my head a little bit. I think, it's hard to win at Bud Walton. This Arkansas team is not that good. And it's not that good of a coach. And this is the same issue we've had for the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 since the Grant Williams team. There's been zero offense for Rick Barnes, and I mean, you can probably take that back to Texas, and like outside of T.J. Ford and Kevin Durant, the Texas team struggled the same way. It's just infuriating. And when I was telling my dad, I was like, I'm not ready to fire Barnes by any stretch, because I don't think anything better is out there. But oh my gosh, this is pulling my hair out. That's my Tennessee rant.
Sam, bring us some reason, or please tell us we're right.
Okay, so I was wrong about my prediction of this game. I thought Tennessee would win this game. I didn't think they would have issues. And for 32% of the game, they were in the lead of this game. And up until the last 5-6 minutes, I firmly believed they were going to win. Jake, Brad, the sky is not falling.
It is.
You went into a pretty good Arkansas team. You went into their arena and you lost because in the last 5 minutes, Acuff, and Tennessee had some anemic offense for a little bit and some costly turnovers. But your turnover margin was 14-14. So you didn't lose the turnover battle. Your rebounds were 33 to 36, so you weren't dominated on the glass. You shot 49% from the field, and you shot 38% from three. So your offense wasn't as anemic as you believe it was. What I think you guys are seeing, and as a Purdue fan, I'm guilty of doing this myself, is you took a 5-minute stretch where Tennessee played very, very poorly, and that microcosm has basically ballooned to the entire season. I am not nearly as worried about Tennessee as you guys. I don't think we ever thought that Tennessee was going to be a top 10 team. I personally think that they're going to flirt with the top 10 occasionally, and I don't think that them being ranked is a crime against humanity. They've got 4 losses and 3 of them to very, very good teams. Not very good teams, but to teams that are ranked. They've got big wins over Houston. They got a big win over Louisville. And they've looked good at times and they look bad at times. This is a team that is still figuring things out, even though it's January, but I wouldn't count them out just yet. Again, as a Purdue fan who is extremely pessimistic about my Boilers, I understand how you guys are feeling. If I was 4 losses into January, just like I was last year, I'd be a little bit upset and a little bit panicked. This too shall pass. I don't think this is the worst offensive team you guys have ever had. I would say they're on par with their team last year, which is a little bit of a disappointment considering the pieces that they have. And yeah, there's some issues that they need to address, but this Tennessee team is going to be just fine. If come the end of January, they have 3 more losses, hit the panic button, because then we got to start talking about, are they going to make the tournament? But as of right now, I think they're okay.
Look, you want to talk about the end of January? That is a very tough stretch to finish out January. We have Texas tomorrow. We go at Florida. We get Texas A&M and Kentucky at home, then at Bama, at Georgia, and then Auburn at home to finish January. I know it's conference play and everybody's got a brutal stretch, but that's rough. The free throws. This is like
yes,
15th game of the year. We've shot 50% or less for the free throw line. There's enough there to tie the game. The turnovers. I don't know where Ament's head is. I don't. Something is wrong. It's either the pressure is too much at Tennessee. Too much pressure has been thrown on him, or the kid basketball IQ is not where it should be. Because the 10-second call, that's embarrassing. Like, yes, Carey had the ball for 4 or 5 seconds of it, but you gotta know that in your head, and you don't even have to count with the 10-second call. You can look at the shot clock because the refs aren't even counting it anymore. So it's even like worse. And then the 5-second call. Everybody from high school freshman on up knows if you're throwing the ball in, especially in a tight game, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, no timeout. You don't risk it, but he's just going to sit there on it. Like, those are unexcusable. We're throwing the ball out of bounds. We're missing back cuts. Like, this team's IQ level is low, and then the free throws are terrible. There's no inside game outside of Carey. Like, Estrella was a disappointment. Aquara has been a disappointment all year. Like I said, Evans is the only bright spot, and he's really come on the last few games. Let him start over Brown. That kid has earned all the minutes.
Completely agree.
It's Boswell is not aggressive, and it worries me. He's fallen in the Meshack role. He's got a lot more offensive talent than Meshack ever showed at Tennessee, and he's fallen in that Meshack role where he just won't shoot.
Nope.
And it's very frustrating. And this is, to me, Tennessee is on pace for the 5 seed that's going to get rocked by Miami of Ohio, and it's not even going to look like it's going to look like Tennessee was the 12 seed. Like, that is where we're on pace for it. Like, I don't think that is sky is falling. I think that's a very accurate look at where we're at.
I thought it was weird. This is a strange observation, but I felt like our free throws, we were long. Almost, like back of the iron. I want to know what that pregame looks like. What are you doing at shoot around? Like, there's that kind of preparatory thing that I feel like, but I know this has been a trend all season.
You can't practice free throws. There's no way on this earth to practice free throws because you can't replicate game situation. You can't replicate anything about it. So it becomes extremely infuriating because there's not much you can do about it. Like, you can even talk to, like, Shaq's interviewed on this stuff before. He says at home, at his house, 90% of the time they're going in. But as soon as you get to that game, something changes. And it's like we've got all that right now. Like, because, Gillespie's not even shooting free throws well. It's an epidemic on the Tennessee team, and I don't know a way to fix it.
At this point, and it's probably way too early. This is a foolish question, but we can talk about it here on the bench. Is that, do we feel that Nate Ament is still a one and done guy.
Yeah. He's 6'11". He moves too well. He dribbles the ball too well. If you're like, you can't teach athleticism or size,
Yeah.
but
And you don't
you
get
can
yours
teach
back.
the rest of the game to the kid. And so it's like, let me teach him, and we'll get him. Like, you can't buy what he has.
I've been asked that question a lot by folks. They've asked me if
I think he's dropping out of the top 10. I think you're looking at a later lottery pick.
I know that's, and I've said that too. I said, it's definitely going to be a much further back than what we originally anticipated. And I feel like the lights are too bright for that kid.
Sort of, but I mean, and I'm not saying I would perform under the expectations he had coming in. And maybe there was a reason, like, because Nate Emmett kind of shot up the rankings at the end of his senior year and over the summer, or maybe his junior in the summer and whatever. Because I think he was well outside the top 20 coming into the junior or senior year, and maybe he fell in love with size and athleticism, and he had a good year. It's starting to look weird that he was into the top, because like there was arguments out there for him to be the number 1 overall recruit, and the gap between him and who the people that were like with Peterson, Boozer, and Debanza is Grand Canyon size.
And be the top pick of the top recruit in Tennessee basketball history, and to have a season that's going like it is. Now there's still time to redeem himself, and I hope he does. I'm right there. I think he's a good kid. I've heard nothing but great things about him. I want this for the kid, not only for my color, but for
nothing but.
Yep. Yeah, and just to hammer my nail home, I wouldn't panic just yet. And the rest of the schedule you mentioned in January, I mean, if they clean house in the rest of January, then we need to have a conversation about Tennessee again.
Yeah, we can.
Now, if they go 500, let's talk. But they have a legit shot to go a clean slate the rest of January, and that would be huge for this team.
It would flip the season on its head.
Yeah.
Yeah, just please be Kentucky. That's just for the love of all things good and holy.
I don't think you have to worry about Auburn.
I'm at the point where I worry about every game right now. Yeah. I don't feel comfortable. We could play Powell High School, and I would not feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's because you're a true fan.
Yeah, and maybe because I went to Powell High School, but who knows?
Well, and that's the thing. And for anybody watching and listening, look, we talk about these teams like we're a part of them, and it's just natural for aging dudes, who sit around, drink beer, and talk to each other about sports to be really passionate. But we watch these games. We're not reading box scores. Now we read stats off because, sometimes the stat sheet says something completely different than what we watched. But it's always fun to go back and look at the numbers. It's like maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought. Like this Tennessee game, probably not as bad as you guys thought it was. But it's the passion that we have as fans. And that's why we're doing this. We're not doing this for likes, clicks, views, subscribers, things like that. It would be nice if you subscribed. It'd be nice if you liked. It'd be nice if you engaged with us because we like that. But at the end of the day, we're just 3 old dudes that love basketball. So here we are talking about teams like this. The world's going to end tomorrow if they don't get a win.
It is. It is. My world ends.
Yeah.
How 18 to 22-year-olds impact our life is.
That doesn't apply anymore. We're going to be bringing in 30-year-olds here soon.
Right. Exactly.
Like guys that have Flowers has played 8 games, might be showed up at Kentucky is what I'm hearing. We've talked about that.
Now, I think for our preview, gonna talk podcast. Part of it is talking.
All right. That's why they should make this equipment more expensive.
That's exactly right. My gosh, I don't think Jake has anything to worry about with this Duke Louisville matchup that's coming up. I do not see this being a ball game, especially without Brown. After seeing firsthand the Louisville team play without him and how they looked when Tennessee played them, this I think is going to be a pretty one-sided matchup.
Yeah, that's starting to see that way. I mean, I'm surprised. Last time I said this, I got myself in trouble. I'm surprised the line is only 1.5 now that it's been announced that Brown is out. But Duke's defense is kind of falling off a little bit, but it's still the pieces are there. I'm not sure that too many teams have an answer for Boozer, Cam to be exact. And then if Evans plays like he did, where he's hitting and he put up I think 28 against Florida State, I see Louisville having a hard time keeping this one close. And this feels like a double-digit win for Duke without if Brown were to play, it's a completely different story. I like Louisville. to win the game at Louisville, but it's still on the road. Makes you a little nervous because you still got a lot of youth on this Duke team, and Louisville loves their basketball, and that KFC Young Center can get rocking. It's a great place to see a game if you've not been there. I had the privilege of being at the Zion game at Louisville, and that was the end of the world till I got to cheer in the Louisville fans' face that I was hearing. I was in all my Duke stuff, and I was hearing it all night. And then as that game got closer and closer, they got quieter and quieter. It was weird.
Yeah, funny
And
how
then
that works.
it's funny. And then Cam Reddish hits some big shots, and like Zion played with 4 fouls all second half. But that was an incredible game. One of my favorite arenas to watch games in, and should be a good game. But I think this has got Duke written all over it.
Yeah, I think Duke's got some things to clean up after their last couple of games. I think this would, like, shocking to say this is a good get right game with this Louisville team. It's a confidence booster because they're still a top 20 team, but they obviously don't have their secret weapon in Michael Brown. So I anticipate Duke to win this by double digits going away.
I think this is an interesting game. Georgia at Florida. This is huge for Florida. I think this has a huge opportunity for them to show their fans that they can be as good as they should be. Of course, I hate them, but I still think that there's something left in that tank. But their front court and back court, they've got to sync up. If they're a unit, they could be a problem. And the Guardians didn't play too bad last game, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, I would say it was a little bit better, but it wasn't anything to really make a huge difference, obviously.
This Georgia team is a head scratcher for me. Like, they're winning games. I think their sole loss is to Clemson in overtime, but they're winning games. They beat what I would consider a not good Auburn team, but it was close. I have to look at who they played. I think they squeaked one out against Xavier.
Yeah, Xavier.
And Xavier's as a bad team, but they're still winning games.
Florida State, they won. Cincinnati.
I think their only loss is Clemson.
It was 97-94. Then that was right after the Xavier game. They beat Florida State by 30 at Florida State, beat Cincinnati by almost 20. But, like, the reason I think this might be the game Georgia gets exposed, like, if you start looking at the box score there on Auburn's stat line, they had 75 shots to Georgia's 65. They out-rebounded Georgia by 15, and 13 of those were they out-rebounded them by 13 on the offensive glass. Now you look at Florida's front line; that they have been fantastic all year. Florida lost; their guards didn't kill them, but Hoff, whatever his name is, finally looked human and had an efficient game. He still put up some numbers, but like Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee didn't score well, but they took care of the ball for once and had some assists. But I think this Florida, like, there's a reason this line is 8.5 for Florida. Like, not just because they're at home, but that front court is going to annihilate what Georgia has. I mean, Auburn's not got the best front court in the world, and they had quite a bit of a rebound advantage and all that. I think it's only going to get worse when you start talking about Hoff, Condon, and Chinulu, whatever his name is. Like, those guys aren't going to miss around the bucket. It's just going to be dunk after dunk when the guards miss the threes. I mean, that's a given that they're going to shoot 10% from deep at this point.
I will say this. I do believe Florida will win this game. It would not shock me if Georgia wins this game. And the other thing about this is if Georgia does win this game, then we really need to have a conversation about Florida and the direction that they're going. They've fallen outside of the top 25. They started the season number 3 in the country.
It's looking very North Carolina-esque.
Yeah. We might have to start calling into question Florida's tournament status if they lose this game, because they will start the year with 6 losses and 2 of them their first 2 conference games. So I think Georgia has done what they need to do to get the respect that they've got. Congratulations, Georgia. Florida needs this, and I think they're going to play like they need it.
Florida right now is in the bottom 20 at 3-point percentage on the year. I think they're shooting 28. Like,
shocking.
That's where this game is let's Boogie find Xavier Lee and whoever off the bench. Like, those guys have got to start hitting if this Florida team is going to be in the tournament, because right now, resume wise, Florida not tournament. Like, their best win is George Washington, maybe? No, Miami. Is that good enough to get into? No.
That's a good point. So
they have Like, I'm not saying this is must win, but you drop this one and you drop one or two more in conference, and then it's got to be everything from then on is a must win. So you need to bank these wins at home. You have to protect your home court. If you start losing these ones at home, we're talking about going from championship to being in the top, ranked inside the top 3 to missing the tournament, like North Carolina has.
I'm going
Georgia, then Tennessee, both at home, and then at Oklahoma and at Vandy.
quick interruption here. If I were to tell you that Michigan State is up 18, soon to be 20 against USC, what in the first half, how many points do you think they might have?
I'd slayed the score.
I mean,
Hey, there was a reason on that TikTok. I was like, hey, Izzo on a bounce back. They're not losing 2 in a row. Lay the 10.5.
Yeah, so they're up 18 right now. I think they just turned the ball over.
If you follow us on social media and whatnot,
I will say,
it looks like I'm making a lot of money for you.
Yeah.
Breslin Center is absolutely rocking on a game that I have not enjoyed watching.
It's got less than 50 total points.
So yeah, have not had fun with this one. Michigan State, congratulations. USC, I think you have to go into the locker room and ask yourself some serious questions why, in all likelihood, you're going to be sub 20 and a half.
So,
never going to be outscored by the clock.
Yeah. So to kind of round out, that's funny. To round out the preview segment here, Texas Tech at Houston. I've gone back and forth on this about which team needs this more. And I know you would think that this is an obvious Texas Tech, answer to that question, but I really think a solid Houston win here would do Houston really well. Both of these teams need this game.
I mean, yeah. So Texas Tech their 3 losses are to Illinois, which was a close game, Purdue, which was just an absolute shellacking, and Arkansas, which again was a pretty close game. And then they've got a big win against Duke. From a resume standpoint, when you start talking about these top 25 teams playing each other, I think Texas Tech needs this to establish themselves a little bit more, because that draws them closer to that 500 range that they need to be at. Houston, they're always going to get respect from the AP voters. They're always going to get respect from the selection committee because they're Houston, and Houston plays a very distinct style of basketball. That style of basketball is a little bit different this year, but Houston doesn't really have any statement pieces right now. So I think this is a coin toss on who needs this more. Now, if I'm, again, I've mentioned this earlier in this podcast, if I'm being selfish, I want Texas Tech to win this game, so it bolsters Purdue's resume. I think Houston's getting 6.5, Jake?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Houston's laying 6.5.
Yeah, they're laying 6.5. Coin toss. This is a coin toss for me. I think they have the defense to swallow up Christian Anderson, and they have enough presence to disrupt JT. It's going to depend on the role players for Texas Tech if they're able to pull this one out.
I think, like I said, when Texas Tech went to Duke, I think this is a terrible matchup for Texas Tech. I think, one, they've got the guards, the defense they play, the physical defense they play against the guards, and as thin as Texas Tech is, I think this is a bad matchup for them. I don't know that Houston is that much better of a team, but I kind of like laying the points with Houston here just because I think the guard play and the defense, they can take out Anderson, and between Sinek and Tugler, they've got enough people to get in the way of Toppin and make him inefficient. And it's going to look like the first part of the Duke game where like Duke was up 17. I could very easily see a 10 to 12, 15 point lead at some point for Houston, and they hold on and cover this number. Houston's got a little more experience at the guard. They got the guard, like Flemings is great, but he's playing like an older guy as a freshman. You got Sharp and Uze in there too. And if Sinek and Tugler can just hold their own against Toppin, I think Houston wins this one, and it's especially at home. It's probably a 10-point win if I'm guessing, but that's where I see this game.
Yep. So yeah, wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if Texas Tech can figure out a way to navigate Houston's defense, then I think they have a better chance. But I tend to agree with you, Jake. I think Houston's got enough pieces that's going to really disrupt what Texas Tech wants to do. So, and also, I know we mentioned this earlier in the podcast, but in 2026, year of our Lord, we have a Big Ten team going on the road as a 23-point favorite in conference play.
So absurd.
So I'd like to just, play the tiniest violin for Penn State, and offer my condolences because what Michigan is about to do to them is going to be borderline criminal. I think you might have to close the school afterwards.
Yeah.
Probably should have closed the school after something else a few years ago, but somehow.
All right. So I don't know if we've actually done this segment before, but this is something that we've had in mind for a while, even like in the early days of Bitch Points, is that the Teddy D Worst Whistle Award nominee. And this is going to be hard to overthrow. And I think all of you know, if you have watched any bit of college basketball, know what play we're talking about. Jake, you want to dive into this one?
Look, the ref, it took me a while to find the ref's name, but Adam Flores, that was terrible. He is a terrible ref. He shouldn't be calling any power conference games. I mean, if you just look at his KenPom ratings, he's never been above 115th ranked. And there's no reason for him to be calling power conference games and being plus 100 ranked. He's not good at a job, and he proved it because he didn't call what happened. He called what he thought, what the player wanted to happen, or what he thought was going to happen when he reached to the guy. He mishandled the rule with the continuation. The guy was nowhere near gathering for the jump shot. Also, the crew needs to be yelled at for this too. The whole crew. You can't review it, say, nope, it's on the floor, and then go back and unreview your review. Like that whole mess. It was just a disaster from get. And one, me and Brad talked about this. If you're in that point in the game and you're under 5 seconds and it's that light of a touch, swallow your whistle because the ball went in. Like that's going overtime. Give them 5 more minutes to figure this out. Do not end the game on your whistle, like right there. That's impossible because it wasn't really even a foul that would be called in 39 minutes and 39 seconds or 30 seconds of the rest of the game. That touch would not have been called a foul at any point. It's just called there because he thought the guy wanted the foul. And because he was trying to think for the player, he makes the call and it's just a disaster.
Yeah, it was an absolute disaster compounded by the review debacle. And this is going to tie right into our bench behavior.
Oh, yeah.
Because Michael Shrewsbury had every right to be absolutely outraged. Of course, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I think that's my role with your group. There have been times where I would have gone for the rest of them too. And Micah almost did. I am actually glad he didn't get suspended. That referee was lucky to get out of there without a beer can tossed to the back of the head.
No kidding.
I think if they were somewhere that cared about their team, it would have happened. But
I 100% support Micah's passion on this. He obviously didn't strike the ref or anything like that, so there was no contact or no physical altercation. He had to be held back, rightfully so. I'd be pissed off too. You just cost me a game in a very, very valuable season for Michael Shrewsbury because he needs wins, and this official effectively cost him one. So that's where I'm at. That's where I stand on this.
Like from the bench behavior standpoint, I'm more of putting the ACC out there than Micah because I think it's very justified, except for charging. You can't, if you're going to be the coach and a head coach, you've got a little bit of responsibility to not do that. I think you take that anger and you go nuts in the press conference and you eat your fine and the school chips in and helps you with it. But ACC, you cannot, because what's going to happen is there's going to be a very similar call in a very tight game and somebody else is going to do something similar. They're going to catch a 3-game suspension or something like that. And they're going to point back to this and go, hey, why me? And so now you set the standard is you can go at the ref.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you don't touch him, it's fine. You just get a slap over the wrist the first time. Like you set a very dangerous standard here. And you're obviously if this guy's reffing your conference games, you're struggling to get the refs in. That's only going to make it harder. Like, because now that they can't really be guaranteed that they're protected. I don't know if I'm going to go set up because I mean, this is an overall meaningless game. It's a conference game between 2 teams that were like Notre Dame and Cal that stand no chance of postseason play, don't deserve to sniff it. And like, I don't know. I think this was bad news all the way around. And this is something that's frustrated me. We've had this rant before. It feels like there's 0 consequences for Adam Flores. You were terrible you were this bad at your job. If you were ranked in like the bottom 3rd, 4th of your job every year you've done it and you still have your job, that's irresponsible by your organization.
Agreed.
And he's sitting there doing it and getting carried around. There needs to be some kind of something here, like punishment for guys that are going to be this bad at their job at this level that has this much money involved and just in the arena has that much money involved. And then you start calculating the gambling stuff. It's outrageous what has happened. And
this is being allowed to continue.
Yep.
Now, I think that's where, as a fan, I like to see the passion. Obviously, I've got some bias. Micah Shrewsbury was an assistant at Purdue for a while. I fell in love with the dude. The players loved him. He struggled as a head coach, and he's continuing to struggle, and not 100% sure if he's got much light at the end of this tunnel here. I like seeing passion from coaches, but in this case, yeah, it's ugly. This referee is absolutely horrid at his job, continues to be horrid at his job, is not getting any better, and nothing's being done about it.
And one thing too, I want to say this is that it wasn't like Shrewsbury was. You know how I feel like Cal is the king of this action of like faking being mad, like just trying to support your players, and like pretty much he tells his assistants like, "Hey, hold me back, and then do all that."
Little scrapping
Shrewsbury was
wall.
going to lay hands on this man. Okay, he was wanting to lay hands on this man. You could tell that.
Not now, but hill you way.
That's where it was kind of like, ooh. That is where it kind of made me feel uncomfortable. But yeah, definitely an incredible moment. Let them play. Bottom line, let them play. Officials need to be held accountable. Figure it out. Just another thing that's broken about the NCAA.
Yeah.
Just add it to the list.
Yeah, add it to the list. So that really is our bench behavior. Beautiful segue there, Sam.
Yeah.
And now we're making our way through, and to me this deserves its own standing O. We've talked about it already a little bit, but I think it needs to be in there. Braden Smith making Big Ten history. Sam, you can go ahead if you want to talk about that a little bit more. I think it's just an incredible feat.
Yeah. So look, I've been on here before. I've said it many times. I'm 42 years old. I've been a lifelong Purdue fan. Seeing a lot of great players come through Purdue, and Braden Smith in the 3.5 years that we've had him has been a true leader for this team, a true point guard, and one of the best to ever do it. Regardless of how you feel about how his game will translate to the NBA, when it comes to college basketball, Purdue fans and the country as a whole have been fortunate enough to watch this kid play. He went to high school with my nephew. I got to see this kid play quarterback. I got to see him play high school basketball. You know, I was high on him when he was recruited by Purdue because I just liked the way he played, and I felt like he was going to be a Purdue fit. Not only has he been a Purdue fit, he's been the embodiment of Purdue. He's got that edge to him. He's a shit talker. He backs it up. He's got a chip on his shoulder. This is no joke record here. The Big Ten is one of the most storied conferences in basketball, and for him to hold this record and have a outside shot of getting the all-time record in assists, it just speaks volumes to his character. He was in the top 300 or something like that, maybe outside the 300 of his recruiting class, and Matt Painter found this kid. And he's just been absolutely fantastic. As a lifelong Purdue fan, absolute joy to watch this kid play. I'm going to miss him when he's gone, just like I miss Zach Edey. But, you know, when we talk about some of the great players at Purdue, and as Purdue fans, we've been so spoiled here recently. We had Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey was an absolute blast to watch. We had Carson Edwards. Carson Edwards is an absolute blast to watch. We had Zach Edey, one of the most dominant college basketball players of all time. But the 6-foot kid from Westfield, Indiana, is doing things that we never ever thought we'd ever see. And here we are breaking Cash's record with 17 conference games to go. Potential run in the Big Ten tournament and potential run towards a national title. Fingers crossed. Big things can happen for this kid. And I do think he'll have a place in the NBA, kind of like a McConnell role. But congratulations, Braden Smith. As a Purdue fan, I love you and thank you for everything you've done for us.
I mean, I was take anything away. I just think it's impressive on the teams he's been on, going from losing to the 16 seed to the Final Four and quarterbacking both teams and being just fantastic the whole time. Been probably the only truly consistent piece outside of Edey that has performed day in, day out, never really had an off game. It's been a pleasure to watch him. And one of the true, when you define point guard, he's in the more recent common era of college basketball. It's him, and then I don't know who else you would define point guard with. He is the definition of point guard, and it's just fantastic to watch. And everybody, even not Purdue fans, even IU fans and all that, should just absolutely take pleasure in what you're getting to watch and with him masterminding games.
Look,
yeah, makes that trip to Tuscaloosa that we got to go see him play that much more special.
Yeah,
in my opinion, pretty neat.
One last comment on it. As a Purdue fan, I've loved watching him. I would not blame the rest of the country for thinking that this is Purdue's version of Aaron Kraft. and will be glad that he's gone. So one of those hard-nosed players that you love him when he's on your team, you hate it when he's playing against you. So big congrats and standing up.
Yes, yes. Also for Tom Izzo to make the comment, like make a video.
Class.
Like how
Absolute
cool was
class.
that?
Yeah,
That
that
was so
100%
neat.
class. And he knows he can make that video because he knows Jeremy Fears Jr. has got a legit shot to get that record back for him here in a couple of years.
if you look at the top, how many ever, it was before Braden Smith took over, it was Michigan State, and then I guess Braden Smith was in there. So now
Yeah,
it's
Michigan State.
Michigan State, and you're going to have Fears. It's because though it was not giving enough credit how much like true point guards he has brought through, and not necessarily the most talented guys in the world either.
I've said it a million times. As a kid, I hated him. As an adult, I respect him. As now a dad and a 42-year-old grizzled college basketball fan, I love Coach Izzo. I think he's one of the greats, all-time greats to do it, and very class move for him to send that video.
For sure. Well, let's go be unclassy on the floor right now, given what we've got to go take care of. So I think it's about that time.
We'll catch y'all next blowout.
Yeah, take care.